Good afternoon, I'm Shane Masters with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. A number of people who turn up to be vaccinated today may have to wait until another vaccination blitz to be inoculated. This as a number of doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine have become limited. Reports from Manchester are that two of the designated sites have depleted their resources. These sites are the Manchester High School and the Mandeville Regional Hospital. The Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Nadine Williams, is asking those in that geographical location not to turn up to be vaccinated today. Other sites which have closed include the Sandals Inn in St. James and all locations in Westmoreland. In the corporate area, hundreds of people who turned up at the National Arena also will not be vaccinated. Initial information received was that the vaccines at that site were finished. However, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Besesa-McKenzie said not so.
That we have run out of vaccines is that we are estimating how much vaccines we have and how many people are presently on site. So we have stopped persons coming in to the National Arena because we have over 1,500 persons inside already. So we're doing that evaluation site to site to make sure that the persons who are in already, registered already, will be vaccinated.
Meanwhile, Dr. Besesa-McKenzie says the Health Ministry is still awaiting guidance from the World Health Organization, WHO, on whether the expiration date for the vaccine will be extended. She notes that studies done by the Serum Institute of India have suggested the shelf life for the AstraZeneca vaccine could be extended from the current 6 months to 13 months. She points out that India and South Africa have already extended the use of the product based on these studies. However, she acknowledges that the WHO has not given approval for this.
So about 4 days ago, we would have seen information coming out of media houses in India to say that WHO has rejected the extension. Now, based on that, we made a decision that we would wait because there's no official word from WHO. We have only seen the media reports coming out of India. So we would wait to see. But our intention is to try to use as much of these vaccines, because if we don't see any information coming out of WHO to say that they have reviewed the stability studies and they say that the vaccine shelf life can be extended, we would not be using it beyond the expiry date.
It's expected that the country will hear today whether Prime Minister Andrew Holness will extend the current COVID-19 restrictions. Mr. Holness is scheduled to make a statement to the House of Representatives this afternoon. Now, the Prime Minister announced on March 21 that the measures would continue until April 13. Some members of the medical profession have recommended that the weekend lockdowns continue until the COVID-19 positivity rate declines. Yesterday, it was at 26%. Now, the World Health Organization has recommended that the positivity rate should remain at 5% or lower. Jamaica has recorded over 670 deaths and over 42,700 cases of the virus. 161 new cases of the coronavirus were recorded on Monday. The number of confirmed cases now stands at 42,924. Meanwhile, 6 more Jamaicans have died from COVID-19. This brings the death toll to 682. 384 people have been hospitalized due to the respiratory illness. Of that, 37 are critically ill, while 35 are moderately ill. Meanwhile, there are 22,802 active cases. Halt the use of Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine. The stance being recommended by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration over 6 reports of a rare and severe type of blood clot. The 6 reported cases were among more than 6.8 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine administered in the United States. All 6 cases occurred among women between the ages of 18 and 48, and the symptoms occurred 6 to 13 days after vaccination. According to a release, the CDC will convene a meeting of the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices on Wednesday to further review the cases and assess their potential significance. Meanwhile, the FDA will review that analysis as it also investigates the cases. And it's time for a break here on the Midday News. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back. Continuing the news. We cannot charge him. That's a word from the Hanover police following a video which has been circulating on social media of a Westmoreland Member of Parliament assaulting a woman. As we hear in this report, the issue is based on the lack of a follow-up by the victim in the incident. No charges can be laid at this time in the case involving Member of Parliament for Westmoreland Central George Wright, who has been accused of assault. Head of the Criminal Investigation Division of the Hanover Police, Detective Inspector Carl Brown, confirmed on Monday that both parties involved in the altercation, which was captured on video, have made complaints at different police stations. However, the woman has not been located to follow up with a statement, which is needed to commence the prosecution of the matter.
We have not gotten a statement from the person complaining. We have a report, not a statement. The report can take us thus far in terms of identifying and speaking to who we have in. But that is as far as it can take us. We can't make a arrest without a statement.
Inspector Brown outlined another challenge with the investigation.
We don't have evidence that the Member of Parliament is the same person who made the report. While we have the information that is pointing to that, we don't have any evidence.
Now, as to the role the video footage will play in the investigation.
We have done some work. The investigation is ongoing, but I'd rather not go there at this time where that is concerned. You know the matter is a sensitive matter. The investigation is going up here. I don't want to disclose that information at this point.
General Secretary of the Jamaica Labour Party, Dr. Horace Chang, said if there is confirmation that Mr. Wright was involved in the assault, there will be swift consequences. Dr. Chang has asked Mr. Wright to immediately make himself available to the police, who are investigating the incident. The two men taken into custody in relation to killing of Clarendon teacher Natalie Dawkins have been charged. They are 20-year-old Eliado Goldburn of Sandy Bay, Clarendon, and 19-year-old Marla Headley of Palmer's Cross, Clarendon. Deputy Commissioner in charge of crime, Fitz Bailey, says both men confessed to the killing of Miss Dawkins. Now we join our reporter Codian Barrett for a live update as to what is happening at the National Arena.
Jamaicans came out this morning to be vaccinated. Unfortunately, around 11 a.m. we were told that vaccines have run out. That simply means that for persons standing outside today, they will simply have to wait until the next vaccination blitz.
That report there from our reporter Codian Barrett at the National Arena. Now, some educators in Manchester are expressing concern over the large number of students still not engaged in online classes. Principal at the Alligator Pond Primary and Junior High School, Gregory Bent, laments that more than half the school population is offline. Sandra Williams reports.
It's been more than a year since COVID-19 disrupted the teaching and learning process in schools across the island, forcing institutions to utilize online classes. But yet there are some students who are still lagging behind due to challenges accessing virtual classes. The challenges range from no internet access to no devices to access the classes. For some children in Alligator Pond, Manchester, this is what their typical day-to-day activities entails during what should have been class time for them.
It's a beachside community, so those who are not on the beachside, they are in the community playing football, just running up and down. And what this has been doing is that they are now left behind, so they have a whole lot to catch up on, because not being in school, they are losing out on the education that they're supposed to get.
Guidance counselor at the Alligator Pond Primary and Junior High School, Michelle Saunders, is worried that those children may be in danger when left to loiter.
Being left idle can lead to harm. They can have accidents. We're also in a community where strangers come in to buy fish, strangers come in to go to little orchard and stuff like that. And we never know. Some of our children, they are very friendly, and children trafficking and all that is very prominent right now. So all those things are threatening to them. So if they are online, then they'll be more in a set place at home or in a neighbor's home.
According to principal at the school, Gregory Bent, more than half of his students are offline during the designated school hours.
Since the inception of online classes, since the intervention of COVID, our children have been out of class they have been missing because a number of them are not online. We have a total of 128 students. And from that total, I don't think we have 28 children online.
The educators are calling on individuals to help a child in need as part of efforts to increase the number of students engaging in online classes. Their concerns have so far sparked the interest of the Angels Over Alligator Pond charity organization, which has donated a total of 68 tablets to students from 3 different schools in the area. However, Omar Robinson, a representative from the organization, says more help is needed.
If it's even one child, those who have and can help a child, please do. Because the access to education is vital and we are in support. A solid education is the best start we can give to any child.
I would join the call for broadband so that we could have it in Alligator Pond for the kids.
Mr. Robinson adds that the organization will also install broadband internet at the Alligator Pond Community Center so that students with devices can access virtual classes.
It will be monitored for students to come, do their homework programs, and we'll have a cutoff time in the evenings. That means we don't have any loitering here after hours.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
Councillors at the Clarendon Municipal Corporation are again criticizing the Jamaica Public Service Company for its decision to close several of its offices, including one in Maypen. The councillors say street lights are now being affected by the move and want the Prime Minister to intervene. Dwayne Anderson has more.
On March 8, JPS closed 7 of its offices across the island, but weeks later, challenges are emerging. Councillors at the Clarendon Municipal Corporation say they are unable to get streetlights fixed.
When we as councillors would normally call directly to Maypen in getting our streetlights repaired, there is now an issue. When you call them, they are telling you to go to the app. When I go on the app itself, I cannot report it because they're asking me for numbers on the streetlight, for the address, and all of those information which I do not have.
The councillors say street lights can be a matter of life and death in some communities.
Crime is too high for us to be having so many dark spots within our represented divisions.
The councillors reasoned that the problems residents predicted are now unfolding. Many residents say they do not have access to the internet to use the company's online services, while others complain they have to travel too far to reach other JPS offices.
That's why, Mr. Chairman, we have so much people stealing life that JP is not moving right. JP is not moving right. So we need to step up.
One councillor said the closure of the JPS offices is a situation which requires intervention from the highest levels of leadership in Jamaica.
Just as how the Prime Minister can get up and say, look, we're going to lock down and everybody must stay in their house. I think the Prime Minister must take control, call JPS. The Parliament, as what Mr. Williams said, call up JPS, sit them into a meeting and say, look here, I am Brogan and I run this place. And you cannot do everything that you want to do. You need to report to us. We need to know. You can't just get up and just say, you just leave Maypen and leave the people standing like that. It doesn't go like that.
Head of Corporate Communications at JPS Winsome Callum, in response to the complaints from the councillors, said the local government representatives have access to the JPS's parish leadership who they can bring their issues to. Ms. Callum also pointed out that the number of people using their online platforms continues to grow. She added that the company is hosting a series of pop-up sessions across the country to teach people how to use their online applications. The JPS official said the company is working to reduce the wait time for customers when they contact the call center with complaints. Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
People who continue to flout the COVID-19 protocols could face the full extent of the law if caught by law enforcers. That's according to the St. Andrews South Police following a recent event in Jerusalem. On Sunday, an event dubbed Lockdown Splash was in full swing when the police intervened. Several videos circulating on social media showed snippets of the residents running from the cops as they entered the community.
Not only is a blatant disregard for the law, but also expresses social selfishness relative to their community and the effects their action may have in the spread of the COVID virus. The police will continue to intervene and prosecute them to the fullest extent allowed by the law.
In regional news, the Lesser volcano in St. Vincent has erupted in another huge explosion, sending sulfuric gas and ash over a wide area and prompting concerns about the safety of residents who have not evacuated. Volcanologist at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus, Professor Richard Robinson, provided an update in a press briefing this morning.
The way in which it exploded, again, though, gave us some confidence that the model that we have is still correct, because the explosion that we had this morning wasn't as energetic as the one that we had at the beginning.
Professor Robertson, however, noted that there seems to be a decrease in volcanic ash as well.
The ash, certainly yesterday, seemed to have been sort of on the northern part of the island. Some of it did go towards Barbados. It didn't really come very far south. I don't think very much areas in the southern part of St. Vincent got ashed on. And also the one this morning is the same thing. The main activity is really on the volcano itself, just south of that. I think, in fact, the one this morning, you're not going to have very much ash anyway in St. Vincent other than on the volcano itself.
In the meantime, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, says while efforts are being made to help those citizens affected by the volcano in state facilities, similar assistance is being worked out for those in private homes. He noted that preliminary data from Monday showed that some 2,000 persons are in those homes, but that is expected to increase. And that's the Midday News. I'm Shane Masters. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.